So I'm responding to this question because this guy says, so over 20 million since the 70s. Sensational. And thanks for playing the Victim Olympics. Now, this is a common tactic that a lot of BMs on this app love to use. They love to use the abortion rates of Black women as a gotcha moment. So since they love comparing Black women to non-Black women, we're going to look at the global rates of abortions. So for this video, I thought it was important to look at each country's amount of abortions to find out which countries are having the highest abortions. Pause to look at this chart here just so you can get an idea of which countries are really having the most abortions. I also thought it was important to bring up the fact that 336 million abortions have been performed on Chinese women in the last 40 years compared to 20 million abortions performed on African American women in the same time period. And guess what? I have never seen a Chinese man use these abortion rates against a Chinese woman on a public platform. I have never seen Chinese men constantly berating Chinese women for getting abortions. I have never seen Chinese men building entire platforms over talking about the abortion rates of their women. So this is a common shaming tactic that a lot of BMs on this app love to use against their women, but then they wonder why we don't respect them. And this says, according to the World Health Organization, which is WHO, roughly 73 million induced abortions occur worldwide each year. So Black women have had, quote unquote, 20 million abortions over a time span of 40 years. However, globally, there's 73 million abortions performed every single year. This is not a Black woman issue. And that's one of the things that I really have a problem with them constantly trying to shame and embarrass Black women, which doesn't fucking work, because if a woman feel like she needs to get an abortion and she feels like that's the best decision for her, then she's going to fucking get one, regardless of if you like it or not. So nobody gives a fuck about your shaming tactics, okay? You're not shaming us. We don't care. So these are the top 10 countries with the highest abortion rates annually. The US does not even make the top 10. So that means that Black women are not even in the top 10. And what I found interesting about this is China is the only country that is in the top 10 that has a large population size of over 1 billion. The Ukraine, Romania, Estonia, Vietnam, Russia, well, Russia is pretty big, but the other countries that I named are pretty small countries. And they are in the top 10 for the highest rates of abortions. So if you're going to constantly trying to bastardize Black women for getting abortions, you may want to expand your database and become a little bit more literate in how to look up data so that you're not just beating a dead horse. Because again, we really don't give a fuck that you guys have a problem with our abortion rates, because we're gonna do what's best for us. And at the end of the day, you guys are the highest demographic of abandoning your children when they are born. So you're not pro-life. The fake outrage over abortion rates is laughable, because you guys are least likely to stick around and raise your children, not just with Black women, but with any woman you decide to lay with. Her chances of becoming a single mother increases, I would guess, by 80% if she has that baby with a BM, okay? No, these are abortion rates for 2022, sorry. It's cut off, of course, up here. But as you can see, again, the US is not at the top. So I don't know why y'all keep bringing this up as if this is like groundbreaking news. And it also says that among the poorest women, Hispanics are the most likely to experience an unattended pregnancy. Overall, however, Black women are 3 times as likely as white women to experience an unattended pregnancy. Hispanic women are twice as likely because Black women experience so many more unattended pregnancies than any other group, okay? So that is why our abortion rates are higher than any other group, because we experience more unattended pregnancies than any other group. And if my memory serves me correctly, I know for a fact at least 84% of Black women are using some type of form of contraceptive. So you can't just say that Black women are not protecting ourselves. And just to give you a little bit more information on this, I think what irritates me about this whole conversation and trying to constantly shame Black women for getting abortions is because any woman can tell you, and I'm going to ask you ladies to comment down in the comments if you can relate to this. I remember when I was 26 years old, I asked my gynecologist if he could make me permanently sterile because I decided at the age of 10 years old that I did not want children. So I'm 26. I decided at 10 that I didn't want children. 16 years later, I had not changed my mind. My gynecologist told me that they could not sterilize me because I was not married. And I would need my husband's permission to make that decision with me, and they would refuse to do it. Now, keep in mind, I didn't even have a fucking husband at that time. So they denied me a sterilization, a permanent sterilization, because of my husband that was non-existent. Also, they denied the sterilization because I had not given birth yet. So they wanted me to wait until I gave birth at least once or twice and had gotten married before they can even sterilize me. So you guys are constantly complaining about these abortion rates, and women we don't have control over our own fucking bodies, because plenty of us have went to the doctor and asked them, hey, I don't want any kids. Can you sterilize me? They won't fucking do it. But guess what they will do? They will give a man a vasectomy if he's 25 years old. Okay? So maybe you all are the demographic that needs to be looking into birth control. And to my knowledge, vasectomies are reversible and they're way less invasive than sterilizing a woman. So I really don't give a fuck about y'all attempted shaming tactics for women who have abortions. Because at the end of the day, unless you are adopting children, unless you are building communities with these women and offering to babysit their kids and helping them raise their sons that you guys swear that we can't raise, it's really none of your fucking business. So I don't know what you're expecting. Like when I'm boarding a plane to another country to take a vacation, nobody has ever stopped me at the gate and been like, hey, Black women got 20 million abortions. When I'm opening up my businesses, nobody has ever asked me, how many abortions have you had as a Black woman? When I'm like living my life and eating at the restaurants that I like to eat at, nobody ever asked me about abortions with Black women. So I'm not understanding why y'all keep bringing up this point as if it actually fucking matters. Because the bottom line is what's done is done and is over with. So I like, it's hilarious. Every time I see y'all make that comment, I laugh. Because I know for a fact, had those women had those 20 million children, that would be 20 million children without fathers. Because they were created by BMs. So you make fun of this, but the reason those women are getting those abortions is because they're not married or they are in poverty. So if you guys were better providers, and if you actually believed in marrying the women that you sleep with, the abortion rate for Black women would plummet, because most Black women do not want to have children outside of wedlock, because we're criticized for that too. So we get criticized for being single mothers. We get criticized for having children outside of wedlock. We get criticized for having abortions. Where the fuck is the male accountability in this? And I think the issue with this, and why y'all think this is such a gotcha moment for Black women, is because a lot of you believe that you are entitled to consequence-free sex. So you don't believe you have any type of responsibility to make sure that you are not out here putting women in positions to have an abortion in the first place. Because you can go to the doctor and get a vasectomy and not get her pregnant. A woman can't request sterilization and actually fucking get it. So have a nice day.